Hello everyone, this is Craig Chamberlain with the PCM Tech Help Show. That's at PCMTechHelp.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Windows 7. What is it? Now, a lot of people don't sit down and actually ask this question to themselves. What is Windows 7? I mean, we've been so ingrained with the Windows operating systems pretty much our whole lives, if you're as young as me or whatever. But people never really stop to ask, what is Windows 7? Is it right for you? Should you buy it? Should you download it? I mean, a lot of people have been burned with Vista, Windows ME. I mean, there's a lot of technologies that came out from Microsoft that you don't know you can trust. Now, I'm going to talk about in this video, what is it? Basically, what is an operating system? And we're going to talk about why Windows 7 is actually a good choice. Now, I know many of you are concerned because Windows 8 is going to be coming out. I have some reservations about 8. I'm kind of afraid it's going to be the next Vista, so you got to be careful there. And the problem is it's kind of too soon. Windows 7 is finally starting to catch on, and now we're in a situation where, let's release another one. They kind of did that with Vista, and it really didn't work out that well. So let's go ahead and get started, and if you have any questions, remember you can just post them in the comments of this video, or you can post them at whatever social network I'm posting them at here, or yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, Windows 7 is an operating system. So what is an operating system? Let's start there. An operating system is, don't worry, I'm not going to get too technical on you. I really like this image from Wikipedia. It's basically a piece of software or an application that allows your comfort of working with physical hardware. Or it basically allows you to easily use a keyboard, a mouse, devices, anything like that, in an environment, a software environment, so that you can get your job or task or duty done with simplicity. Now, obviously, the more abstract the operating system is, abstract means simple, basically, more user-friendly it is, typically the less efficient it becomes. That's why you get a lot of criticisms from Linux users on Windows users, because Linux is a much more focused product for certain applications. That's why it performs and runs better, and it's a lot more stable. Whereas Windows is more abstract, so it tries to be a lot of things to a lot of people, and that doesn't make it a bad product, but it does make it less stable and less efficient at running those particular environments. And of course, that's the battle between Windows and Mac as well. Mac is more focused and more closed platform than the PC platform, and that is why Mac tends to fall a lot more stable on performance side of things. But we won't get into that whole debate. I mean, everyone's got their own opinions on it. But typically, that's what we're talking about with an operating system. It allows the software to interface with your hardware, your keyboard, mouse, memory, motherboard, processor, all of them core utilities. It allows them to work together in unison so that you can actually do what you like to do, install programs, run games, and things like that. So as you can see here, we have the user layer, that's you're the user. Then you have the application layer, that's your games and all of your applications you install on the operating system itself. Then you have your operating system layer, which is below that. Typically it's invisible in the background, it's doing a lot of work that you don't know about. Then you have your hardware layer. Typically between the operating system and the hardware layer is this little fancy word you might have heard of called the kernel. The kernel is that nice little application layer that's invisible in the background that interfaces your software with your hardware. And for a little more information on that, you can kind of see this here. Your kernel's central to everything when it comes to actually interfacing your hardware with your software. Your kernel actually is the innermost ring, and then on the first ring of the kernel, it has your device drivers, your most important device drivers, such as your memory, your processors, and things like that, your core drivers, and then you have your higher level device drivers, which are your keyboard, your mouse, things like that, and then you go into your application layer. So you can kind of visualize. I like pictures. You can visualize what your operating system is. Now, of course, ultimately this video is about Windows 7. What is Windows 7? Well, Windows 7 is an operating system. It's simply a piece of software that allows you to run and perform applications and run applications on your computer. That being said, Windows 7 is the latest in Microsoft's official releases. Now, Windows 8 is out in beta. You can download it and run it, actually, for free. But Windows 7 is the final release, and the reason Windows 7 is very solid is because they used Windows Vista as a guinea pig environment for the DirectX 10 and for their it's called the Aero Glass visual effects system. So unfortunately, those of you who have Vista, you were guinea pigs. They essentially released Windows XP with a facelift, which was the Aero Glass, and then once they kind of streamlined a lot of the issues and worked out a lot of the bugs with Vista on Aero Glass, then they melded them together and kind of took the best of XP and the best of Vista, and then they melded them together to make 7. So 7 is actually a very solid, very well-performing operating system. There's a couple of features I wanted to go over here. If I scroll down, I'm not going to go over like the fancy gimmicky features. There's a couple things about 7 you should know. It does come in 2 separate options. You have the 32-bit and you have the 64-bit. The 32-bit has memory limitations, but it requires less memory to run. So as you can see here, there's a recommended minimum hardware requirements. Double these, okay? If Microsoft recommends a minimum of something, double it at least. So what we have here is 1 gigabyte on the 32-bit, 2 gigabytes on the 64-bit. If you're buying the 64-bit, which I always recommend you do these days, because 64-bit doesn't cap your memory. Well, it does. It's just unrealistically high. 32-bit, you'll be stuck below 4 gigabytes of memory for the rest of your days. Don't want that to happen. It decreases the resale value. So always want to go for the 64-bit, even though it requires more memory to actually perform up to specs. You can go to the physical memory limits like I was just telling you. As you can see, 32-bit limits you to 4 gigabytes of memory, which is very, very small now, and it's going to be very, very small in the next few years. And the 64-bit one on Pro, Enterprise, and Ultimate will give you all the way up to 192, and Home Premium is more than adequate with 16. I mean, that's going to be efficient enough for the next 8 to 10 years. So let's go ahead and scroll down, and you got the service packs and all things like that. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys with the what is Windows 7. Windows 7 is an operating system that it's a software application that lets you run, interface your hardware with your software, and it's very user-friendly. So that's why it's there. Should you get Windows? It depends on what you're going for. If you're a brand new user to the computer environment and you're really trying to learn computers right out of the box, then yes, Windows is definitely the way to go because it's going to get your foot in the door and it's going to be as user-friendly as can be. It actually is the most user-friendly operating system out there, so it's going to be the best one to start with. Now, if you're more of a techie and you like to tweak and you like to adjust, you like to custom install your drivers, you like to customize all your applications, you like to custom install all your applications, then you're going to want to look into like a Red Hat or a Linux distribution or Ubuntu Linux distribution. If you're a big geek, you're going to look even more core than that on your Linux distributions. But obviously, Windows 7 is this. This is what it is, and it's always going to be this. And you can complain all you want, but for what it is and what its responsibilities are and where it lies, it is the best out there. So if you don't like Windows, it's typically because you are a technologically savvy guy and it just doesn't do exactly what you want it to do as efficient as you would like it to do it. So that's all there is to this video. As always, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody here, and you all know exactly what Windows 7 is now. And stay tuned. There's plenty more videos to come, and I will be around, so go ahead and ask questions anytime. Follow me on Twitter at Craig Chamberlain. Also follow me on Facebook at Craig Chamberlain, or you can follow the PC Machine at Tech Help Show, PCM Tech Help Show on Facebook as well. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by again. Thanks.